Well, ladies and gentlemen, so welcome to our conjunction video of Sun, Jupiter, Saturn, and Ketu. And what happens when these three planets are conjunct in your horoscope. And as always, if you do not know, if you have this conjunction, where it's placed, all the other astrological details, including all my books, reports, consultations, for that, check out the links here and check out option 5, 6 for the reports and rest for the readings and the books. So, in the last video that I made of Sun, Jupiter, Rahu, Saturn, one thing I forgot to mention was that that's actually a combination for an astrologer. Whenever Rahu, Jupiter, Saturn come together, that actually makes for an astrologer, and so Sun signifies that quality, which I forgot to mention. So similar things happen with Sun, Jupiter, Saturn, Ketu conjunction, where that research part becomes more deep, but more than occult, it's more about research into the spiritual knowledge, research into the hidden truth. So that becomes the difference. Although such people will still be interested in learning astrology, but for them, they want to go deeper. For them, it's not just about, Jyotish. It's about learning all the other angs of the Vedas. They want to go and learn the Vedanta. They want to go learn Rig Veda, Atra Veda. They want to learn the Pingala Nadi. Because Ketu, this is why Ketu controls the nakshatra of Mula, which is happening right on the galactic plane. Where the black hole is, they want to go deep into the black hole, which is beyond astrology, beyond the planets. But if we start from the beginning, okay? Sun, as you know, represents soul, father, authorities, government. Sun represents any authoritative figure in your life. Sun represents the light. Sun represents astrology. It's Jyotish, light of God. Sun is considered the God. Sun is also light. Then you see Jupiter, which is intelligence, divine knowledge, gurus, children. It's classical arts, classical knowledge. Everything which is pure and sattvic. You have Saturn, which represents discipline, structure, organization, commitment, duty, sacrifice. Because in order for you to gain something, you got to sacrifice something. Whether it's your time, whether it's your money, whether it's your welfare. In order to achieve something, you got to sacrifice. You want to know God, you got to sacrifice your material things. You got to sacrifice that, that luxury of this family life. So Saturn shows that sacrificial part within us. Then comes Ketu. Ketu represents separation. Ketu is not about discipline and separation to learn something. Ketu is like, I'm just separation. I don't care to think that you got to gain something or lose something from me. You may not gain anything from me. I'm just separation itself. And Ketu naturally represents moksha, enlightenment. And it represents the mysticism. More than astrology, it represents mystical things. It could be anything. It could be magic, tarot, anything that you feel which is like otherworldly can be Ketu. And Ketu also is without the head. It can represent entities without heads. Like usually if somebody has a problem related to haunting, they may see headless people. So that's something that is seen, especially if like Ketu and Uranus are together with certain other yogas, it can do that. Or they may have dreams related to those things. So now you have these 4 planets conjunct in your horoscope. So naturally, first of all, what we see is that this person, you the individual, and your father will be very, very committed towards learning something very seriously, very diligently. Religion and spiritual text and philosophical text, analytical text become the most serious part of your life. Such people love economics. They want to know how the economics works, because remember, Jupiter is also finance. And Saturn represents the mechanism of something. So in order to learn the mechanism of finance, like how is the structure of finance working in society, usually can represent somebody who's interested in economics. But Ketu represents electricity. and sun represents energy. Such people I've seen go into education related to, let's say, solar technology. environmental, electronic energy, nanotechnology. Because remember, if Rahu represents the outer bigger thing, Ketu represents the minute inner things, microscopic things. So these people could be engaged into studying of electrons and neutrons and nanotechnology and something which is very, very small and microscopic. So this is very, very important to understand the dynamic of what type of education you do. See, Rahu represents out, astrology. I'm looking at the planets which are like light years apart from that constellation, and all the constellations themselves are light years apart, and here I'm trying to study them. Ketu says, I don't care for that. I want to learn, how is that electron working? Can I see that electron? Can I see that atom? How does that atom work? Is that rotating like the planet? So all the discipline structure goes into that. Father becomes a very strict person. Now, father may not be somebody who's an outcast. Father may not be such a, a nonconformist. Father would be very strict towards higher principles, spiritual principles, religious principles. But it's not like you're gonna feel like you're an outcast with your father. You're gonna be like, you know what, my father has the greatest of hidden knowledge. That can also happen with Rahu, but remember, Rahu and Saturn are the planets that just don't like Sun. Ketu with Sun is quite neutral compared to Rahu. Sun and Ketu actually do quite well together. But when you have Jupiter, the positive planet, no matter where Jupiter plays, it gives all the positive impact of things in life. So naturally a person is inclined towards learning older texts, anything which is old, because Saturn is there. They want to learn about the ancient knowledge. They want to learn about history. They want to learn about paleontology, archaeology, anthropology. All these subjects somehow become interesting to them. Whether they pursue them professionally or not, they'll become interesting to them. And especially for a woman, Jupiter represents the husband. A husband will be far older in age with you, very mature in age with you, comes from a very traditional family. Father may be a priest, very conservative thoughts. So this is how we understand these things. And then especially because Saturn represents things which are late, delayed. Children will come late, especially for a woman. Children will come in late because Saturn doesn't deny it. Saturn says, I'm just going to give you things late due to your past life karmas. So children have the tendency to come in late with this conjunction. And especially this conjunction, more than Rahu, can give a person great interest towards government service, towards service in third world. See, with Rahu, it's more of political ambitions. When Ketu is there, it's really genuine, intention towards doing something great for society. So they don't really care for being on political throne. If they can get like a government job and they can service and provide something new in the government, something good, like maybe a civil service servant, they would most definitely will succeed with this particular conjunction. Because Rahu gives ambitions like, okay, I'm a government servant now, what's next? What's my next throne? It's not really about serving, it's what's my next throne. But again, this is a very foundational meaning of the conjunction. You really have to understand where exactly this conjunction is placed, what house it's placed in, what sign is placed in, what nakshatra it's placed in. All those things will give a clear theme of this conjunction. But just on the surface level, this is what we see. But again, especially for women, I know they always tend to comment like, oh my God, is my marriage, am I never going to get married? No, I never said you're never going to get married. It is simply delayed. So instead of getting married at 24, 25, you may get married at 29, 31, 32, which especially nowadays is actually considered a medium age. Back in the 90s, even early 2000s, yes, that's what it's called late marriage. But even in India now, many young professionals are like, I'll think about marriage when I'm 30. Of course, there are many, many conservative societies all around the world where they feel they're late if they can't get married by 20. I mean, what are you going to do? It is what it is. But especially now, let me just tell you, 30 is not late. Okay, so anyway guys, this was my conclusion of this conjunction. If you're new to my channel, subscribe below, and if you want to know where your conjunction is placed, all my books, reports, consultation, my new nakshatra readings, for that check out the links here. Otherwise, we'll see you later. Bye bye.